This meeting is now being recorded.
Okay, welcome to the TAPS Music webinar. Today we are going to be going over some information for participating in the spring music events for band, choir, and orchestra. If you are at your school and following along with us, I will be showing you things on the screen. There will be a time for question and answers. At the top of your screen, there's a Q&A page, and then you can also use the public chat, and we'll see those. If you are having trouble with your audio, you will need to connect through your phone. We have a number here that you can dial in. 1-605 475 5613.
The guest passcode.
The guest passcode 130077. Okay, here with me today is Jason Monter from Grace Community School in Tyler. With my job, I've been the state music director since I think 2003 or so. Last year and this year I've taken on a more active role with all the fine arts with TAPS, and so I have now passed the torch on to Jason to take on more responsibilities with some of the music events. So he is here with me. We're going to be going over the general information of the events and talk about some rules, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask questions on things that pertain to this season. So I'm going to hand it over to Jason, and we'll get started.
Hi, we are going to be using two websites, and the first one that you need to be aware of really to start off is the taps.biz. It is changed from last year. Most of the information that we are going to cover is on taps.biz, and we're going to refer to that website very, very frequently. Again, that's tapps.biz. All of the meet dates and locations are on there. You will get emails periodically about this stuff, but when in doubt, please familiarize yourself with the website. And when you get to taps.biz, there is the Fine Arts tab, and Vina's doing this, and you can find your division. Remember, we have three different divisions here. We got vocal music, band, string music, and each one of them has its own set of rules. So please don't assume that if it was this way with one, it's going to be that way with all of them. Make sure you go through this and familiarize yourself, and then read the bylaws. We've put in links under each one of these things that take you to the right place, or you can go through governance, because this will direct you to governance, down to the fine arts bylaws. And then everything you need is in here. You got to scroll down to the music part. And you can see we're done with drumline, and we are coming up on vocal contest, band contest, and the orchestra contest. Again, they are three separate events. If you're entering in students in each of those, please make sure that you read each of those. We're still doing the multiple dates and locations like we did last year. We have the centralized location for the concert and sight reading, and then we have the regional areas for solos and small ensembles. And all of that is listed here, as you can see when you pull up your particular medium. Just making sure that when you're registering these instruments, there are a few instruments that could be in multiple places. If you're registering pianos, pianos can be registered in vocal, orchestra, or band, and the guitars can be registered in band or orchestra, either or. Handbells will only be registered on the band category for entering your handbells. If you have any questions, how do they interject a question here?
Okay, if you have questions throughout the webinar, you just click on the, at the top of the page, there's a Q&A box just click on that Q&A box and type your question, and then as we see them, we will answer them, or we may actually hold on to the questions until the end. But you are welcome to start typing questions as we go along if you have questions using that Q&A box there.
And for people new to TAPS, I apologize if I go very quickly through some of this stuff. It gets easier year after year in understanding how we do things. But I do remember that it can be a little bit daunting at first trying to figure out the two websites. It does get easier. So first off, we had the taps.biz, and there is a spot on that if it is getting overwhelming. You can pull up that TAPS again. If any of it seems overwhelming, you have the spot over for Contact Us. And then there's a knowledge base right up here at the top that you can click, and these will get to the right people. And we all love to read the things that come to us on the computer, so it'll probably get answered pretty quickly. The second website that we use regularly is called Tapster. This is actually where all of your entries are going to be put into the computer. And it's tapster.com. This one is a .com. If you try to go on to Tapster and you haven't got a login yet, you're going to need to talk to your fine arts director or your athletic director for access, whichever person on your campus grants that access, and it is different for every single school. Once you log into Tapster, after you've gotten your clearance to get in there, you're going to have to take some tests. Basically, the tests are saying, yes, I read the bylaws. It's kind of the first thing. The bylaws really do cover everything. So the bylaws are going to ask you to take a test over student eligibility, over the music competitions. Vocalists have a vocal-specific test. What can you enter, that kind of stuff. The tests are laid out, the questions pretty much follow the handbook. If you had both of them open at the same time, it's really easy to find the answers. You can take the test on one screen and read the handbook on the other. She's going to click the Take Test button right now for band directors. And when it comes up, I mean, it's a lot of true or false. It's pretty easy stuff, as you'll see going through here. So make sure you take each of these tests. Not very difficult. Hey, look, she's even showing the band directors the answers to these questions if you can read them very, very quickly. So the pattern now is true, 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 false, true. Let's see how much further we go on this one. Take your tests. Some people have been made exempt to tests from attending certain meetings or certain trainings. Even if you are exempt from your test, there is one test or one thing that you're going to need to do here in the test, and that's the professional acknowledgement of rules. Everybody who is exempt from every other test does need to go in and take this one, just to make sure that we all understand what we're supposed to be doing as professionals and that we are going to conduct ourselves in a professional manner while we're at these competitions. Everything we're doing is really for the kids, and I think most of the time, if we remember, we're trying to put on a good event for the kids, and we set whatever egos we may have at the time aside. It makes things a lot easier, and the professional rules just says, hey, you're a professional, we do it this way, and remember, it's for the kids. It's all about the kids. Moving right along, I think Vina is going to show us where you can find the entry deadlines, and as they come up, I'll go ahead and read them to you, just in case you can't see your screen for whatever reason. You usually have plenty of time to get these entries in, 3 to 4 weeks ahead of the competition, so small ensembles are coming up pretty quick at your regional area. Again, when you go in here, you'll find where your times and your dates and all that. Down at the bottom where it says deadlines, your scope testing, that's what we just showed you, needs to be complete. Your eligibility form, which is submitted also through Tapster, needs to be completed. We're going to load up the entries into the competition mainframe on February 21st. So you got to get them in before that. That's kind of the deadline. We schedule from that. It takes us time to make the schedule, and if it's not in there, we just might be stuck. So please get them in as soon as possible. One thing on this, it's going to ask you who your accompanist is. Please put the name down. I will try my best in my zone, and Vina will in hers as well, to try and make sure the accompanist can get around to everybody. But the priority, again, is the kids. We will do our best, but we can't even figure out the schedule to help you out if we can't see who the accompanist is. We have a way to, again, our best bet is as good as we can to schedule this to where there's no conflicts, but we can't even attempt it if we don't know who the accompanist is. So definitely tell us who's going to be playing the piano for you. One other entry deadline that we need to bring up here is just a form. I'm skipping ahead on my agenda a little bit, but the form to get permission to use your junior high students, that is also listed on there. We're kicking it back a little bit to March 1st because you have a little bit more time to figure out if you need to use your junior high, and that's probably just primarily the band and the orchestra entries. We have 6 classifications this year. TAPS has broken up into 1A through 6A. You might be in a new classification. I know Grace moved from 4A last year to 5A this year. Every single school that's with us in 5A is somebody that we had in our division last year, but we are now a 5A school. Please make sure you know what division you're in and who you're competing with. Orchestra, it's still all one division. We don't have to worry about that. Everything that is entered in the strings, whether it's string piano, string guitar, a violin solo, harp solo, all the way up to full orchestra, will count in the orchestra division.
One way to find your division rather quickly is going to tapster.com, and instead of entering your ID and password, just not putting anything in there, those spots, just if you click continue as guest, and then click on our division district report, and then for your event, say you're doing vocal music, just choose vocal music and then view the report. It will actually show you if you are a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5A school, and it'll also tell you what region that we have predetermined that you will participate in for the solo event. And so please check this list. If you are listed under the Houston region, that means you'll be going to the Houston Baptist Solo and Ensemble meet. San Antonio, you'll be at St. Mary's. West Texas and Lubbock. Arlington, we'll go to UT in Arlington. And so the classification number, the 1, 2, 3A, tells you who you'll be competing against, but for the sake of the small and solo event, this region that you're assigned is the meet that you will attend. We do have the option of you attending a meet that is not your original region. If for some reason you have a date conflict, you can request to be moved to a different region. And in order to do that, just send an email through our contact link in taps.biz and just let me know that you have a date conflict, or for whatever reason. I know that some schools have a lot of band entries and a lot of vocal entries, and instead of having them all compete on one day, they will send the band to one meet and the vocal entries to another meet. And so I just need to know exactly where to place you. So based on this division district report, we do have you separated already. If you see your name in a meet that you are not planning on going to, just let us know and we will move you to a different meet. That has to be done prior to the entry deadline. Like I said, we do make the schedule based on the entries at the deadline, and so if we register you in the Lubbock meet and you are anticipating going to Houston, then that poses a problem once we get the schedule already made, because judges and everything's already planned. So definitely check this list for your classification and your solo and ensemble region. Once again, the quick way to get to that is through tapster.com and not logging in, just continuing as guest to see the division district report.
Just going to touch on 2 quick rule changes that came through the board I don't think that they're going to drastically affect anybody. But the first involves the sacred and small show choirs. Basically, anything that is less than 10 students in a sacred or in a show choir, you will go earlier to your solo and ensemble event and do it there, and you only have to prepare one instead of preparing two. If you have more than 10 students, so it's 11 and up, I'm giving the right number, correct? If it's 11 or over, you're considered a larger sacred or show choir, and you will still go on the large ensemble day, and you still have to prepare two, and you will need to bring music for 3 judges to that. At the smaller sacred and show choir, you only bring music for 1 judge. At the larger, 3 judges. Again, the smaller one, you're going to go to the solo and small day. The larger shows and sacreds will go to the larger ensemble day. The other one is concerning the junior high participation. The TAPS board has said that, yes, they want to increase participation. They want the ensembles coming. They are listening to us, and they are going to allow the 7th and 8th grade students to participate if you need it. Now, it is not a free-for-all. It's just to complete the larger ensembles to get them there. We want to see the bands here. If you need the 7th and 8th graders to make the large ensemble, please use your 7th and 8th graders. Now, there is a form you're going to have to fill out because we want to not make it a free-for-all. We really want to make this a high school contest still, but we want the ensembles there. We want to find a way for your high school students to be allowed to compete, and if that means they need the junior high students there, great. Let's get them there. And the rules for 7th and 8th grade participation vary by medium, so make sure you check that on the vocal, the band, or the strings division pages in your bylaws. The form, are you bringing up the form right now? She's going to show you what the form looks like. There is a deadline listed in there for when we need this form as well, so that we can get back to you saying, yes, it's March 1st, please get that to us so we can review it and say, yes, you can use them, or no, you can't use them for this particular ensemble. We're going to err on the side of getting you there, but we do need to see what is the reason you're wanting to use the 7th graders. Is it so you can have 15 small or sacred ensembles at the thing and you need your 7th graders to complete that 15th sacred ensemble? Then probably going to say a no. But if it's, I can only make one large ensemble if I have these 7th graders in there as well, then yeah, we want you there. We want you to compete with us. Am I missing anything on that? It will be for your largest ensemble. One tweak on the orchestra would be, obviously, if you needed 8th graders to complete your band on band day and 8th graders to complete your strings on string day, then you would need 8th graders to complete your full orchestra as well. So we're looking at that. Again, we want the ensembles here. We want the competition level raised, and getting the ensembles to contest is how we're going to raise that level. But again, do the form. Please send the form. Get it in by March 1st. What else do we have? Reminder, all the rules, again, can be found on the taps.biz website and looking at governance. This would be a great spot for questions if y'all have any. Has any come through yet? Let me see that. Okay, does everybody see these, or are we going to read them out loud?
We will read them out loud. They can see them.
Okay.
Okay, let's just start. If a 7th or 8th grader is used, does it affect their high school playing when they get to high school? Using 7th or 8th grade in music does not affect their high school eligibility. In sports, 7th and 8th grade students are not allowed to compete with high schoolers at all. And the punishment for doing so is that it takes away one of their years of eligibility. So that does not affect our fine arts. So if you use 7th or 8th graders, it does not affect their eligibility in high school music, or even sports for that matter. It doesn't count towards their high school stuff.
And I think their name's even listed. We just know that you're bringing 8 Are the
You
names
do,
listed?
yes.
Okay.
You do have to register them in Tapster. They do have to be listed in Tapster and designated as a 7th or 8th grader. They are listed on your eligibility form, and the eligibility form does mark them as a junior high student, but it does not affect their high school eligibility. Another question is, if you only have one playback method using smart music, do we keep that in mind when scheduling? You need to designate that in the accompanist section. When you have where it asks for accompanist, you can say Smart Music 1, and if you have more than one playback method for 2 of them, you could say these students are using Smart Music 1, these students are using Smart Music 2. If you do just have one, then please do designate Smart Music 1. Sometimes, you know, when we have 30 soloists using smart music, I will encourage that a second playback method be brought, just so we can be flexible with the scheduling. So just that does pertain to the accompanist. We do want to know if you're using smart music, and you can designate the number of playback equipment that you have with you. Okay, we have another question about confirming. Is there a way to confirm your school has paid fine arts fees for TAPS? If we have a login and have taken the test, are we good to go to register students? That is correct. If you did not pay for vocal music, you will not have the option of even signing up in the entries. Vocal music will not be an option for your entries. If you're looking at your entries and it doesn't show vocal music, then you need to contact the TAPS office, and we can double check that you have registered for that event. So as long as you see it as an option in your entries, then you are free to start entering those entries. Okay, we have another question here. It says, I emailed, but concerning sacred ensembles, would it be possible to make the change to a 1 or 2-piece sacred without specifying differing numbers of personnel? Let's see. I would like to be able to enter a 2-piece sacred with 5 students or a 1-piece sacred with 11. We'll have to take a look at that. The purpose of putting the smaller groups is at the state meet the last few years, the panel of 3 judges felt like singing 2 songs for a trio or even a quartet was a little much. And so they said that they didn't, it wasn't necessary that there was a panel of 3 judges judging such a small group. And so the last 2 years, we've collected data on how many groups were bringing less than 10. And the board did agree that for the cost of those few that were bringing smaller numbers, it was more feasible to have them at the smaller event, mostly because the travel costs for the schools, you're paying more money when you have to travel further from home. And so by having those smaller ensembles able to compete on site in the local area, that is why it's like that. And then as well as the number of pieces with the solo and small ensemble, we already had it in place for the judging for the timing to be 1 piece. So I don't believe we would be making accommodations for the change in the number of pieces, but we can definitely look at that and collect data on that this year.
Any others?
Do we have any other questions?
I think everybody is probably getting really excited about TMEA coming up in the next month. Please find the TAPS booth when you're at TMEA. Come by, shake hands, visit with other schools that may be walking by getting information about TAPS. Be seen. come and see us at the TAPS booth. Will it be pretty much in the same place as last year? Or
Yes.
do we know that yet?
This year, last year, they changed the booth up a little, the whole exhibit hall area, and they've made it one big grand area instead of two separate places. And also in the past, before last year, the organization groups were out in the hallway. So last year, they moved the professional organizations just inside the main exhibit hall. So you'll register and then you'll enter into the exhibit hall, and along the back side of the registration area will be all the professional organizations such as TODA and ATSSB and TPSMEA and TAP. And so we will, all those professional organizations are just on that one wall. And so stop by. I'll be there the whole time, and I'm hoping to see some of you there. If you're wanting to man the booth for a little while and just share about your experience with TAPS, that would be fantastic. Just let me know if you're able to do that.
That's a touch screen. I got to remember not to touch the screen.
Okay, we have, do we have a published location for the state band concert and sight reading? Okay, so on the taps.biz website, if you go to taps.biz, let me make sure I'm sharing my screen here, and click on championship information on the band section, so band music, so fine arts, and then choose band music, and then championship information. This has a link of all our dates and locations. So we have the state solo and small ensembles. We've got Houston Baptist, First Baptist Church in Belton, Lubbock Christian, St. Mary's, and UT Arlington. And then our state concert and sight reading venue, 1, 2, and 3A schools will perform on Tuesday, April 18th. And that will take place at the Temple Cultural Activity Center and the Mayborn Convention Center. Last year, we were at the space in Temple. Jazz bands performed upstairs, and that wasn't ideal. And so we have also acquired the use of the Mayborn Convention Center right next door. And so we will have some better holding areas, and the jazz bands will be at the Mayborn. Wednesday, the orchestras and the handbells will perform at the CAC, and we also have the Mayborn that day. And then Thursday, we'll have the 4, 5, and 6A schools perform as well at the Temple CAC and the Convention Center. This is our first year to separate vocal music from being at the same time. And so vocal music is on the following Saturday, April 22nd. It is at Midway High School in Waco. So Saturday, April 22nd is for all classifications, 1 through 6A schools. It says Midway High School on the website, but we will also be using their middle school, which is adjacent to their track. And so it's the same buildings we used last year, but we will be using their middle school and their middle school performing arts center as well as the high school.
I'll say on the instrumental dates for band and orchestra, the bands are split because some big schools have orchestras and some small schools have orchestras. So we wanted to give the opportunity for the schools with both the orchestras and bands to have an overlap. So the small schools with band and orchestra would be there on Tuesday, Wednesday, and the large schools with band and orchestras would be there on Wednesdays and Thursdays. What this does have an effect on is some percussion. So if you're a school that might be able to help us out with percussion, especially on the small school band day, please let us know. We'll send out an email for that at another time. Since I have to be there on orchestra day and band day, I'll be able to maybe help with some of the stuff, unless Mr. Shelton is listening right now, and then I will discuss this with Mr. Shelton at a later day and get back with everybody. But we'll have some stuff, but we do need help getting the sight reading room and the concert room taken care of, with at least the large pieces that are harder to lug around. I did see the next question here. It says, because we have moved from 3A to 5A, does the requirement change as to what can or should be played? And for your particular case, it does. Many of the schools that were last year in 3A moved up to 4A, and for those, if they look at the requirements, no, they did not change. They still have to play a grade 1. But if a school moved from 3A to 5A, that was a significant jump right there. You would have moved up to 4A without our realignment, most likely, and 4As did have a difference last year from the 3As, and it's not a big one, it's a grade 2. So moving this year in the band world, 1, 2, 3A, and 4A bands have one set of requirements. And Ben is bringing it up right here. And we highlighted the adjustments in red so that you can see them when you're going through there. 1, 2A, 3A, 4A must perform a class 1, 2, or 3 on the large, and the 5As and 6As must perform a class, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong, that's for small ensemble. Basically, a class 1 for large ensemble ones and a class 2 for the larger ones. Got my, right, making sure I'm not spinning that out. And then the very, very large ones, the 6As go up to a grade 3. So please, again, if you're concerned about what level you should be playing, look it up here. Small schools now constitute 1 through 4A. You can play any PML. 5As have to play at least a grade 2, 6As at least a grade 3. In that, and it's different for band than it is for orchestra, than it is for vocals. So please go and double check this online under the governance and click on your specific link. There was another question that came up. And if any of the new people are having trouble with music selection, my email is available. I'd love to help in any way. If you're having trouble figuring out some small ensembles for your group and you tell me you've got a violin and 2 cellos or something, I'm here to help. I want to raise the level of this. I might be able to help you with some music selection. If you have 2 violins and a flute, I still might be able to help you with some music selections. There's some weird stuff that we would have to do. But a lot of the directors in TAPS are willing to help out on that. So if you've just moved up to where you have to play grade 2 music and you're not sure what your band can handle, please reach out to directors. We'd love to be able to help get a piece of music that's great for you. Orchestras, I believe some of the orchestras have to play grade 3 music at a lower size than some of the band. All the orchestras, actually, if you're doing a full, your varsity has to do either varsity string or varsity full. One of them has to do a grade 3 music, and we can help you find good literature for your program, and we want to help you find good literature for your program. Where? Go ahead.
Okay, one of the questions says, the separation of band and choir, as you just mentioned, is a hardship for a lot of us that share duties with both band and choir. Ultimately, we have grown so much in the last 5 years that having a simultaneous event running historically we've had band for small schools happening on the same day as vocal for large schools, and then it flip-flopped and we did the same thing again the next day. And finding facilities and people to work these events with the number of schools that we're putting on, I mean, we're bringing over 4,000 students to these events, and having them all on the same day has been a logistical difficulty. And then as well as finding locations and people to be willing to host such a large group. And so, yes, it may be a hardship for your school to now have to have 2 trips, one on a Tuesday in the middle of school for band, and then choir follows up on the next Saturday. But logistically, for us to have facilities that can host the event that we're bringing, it was really important for us to not be doing these on the same day. And so we will see how it goes this year, but we're hoping that because of the split, our TAP staff of, what do we have, like 6 staff members, we will be able to actually have more targeted and refined time for each of these events and not be so spread thin. Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, this is being recorded, and so if you have any directors at your school that were not able to log in today and join us, you can direct them. We will have a link posted on the website for our the viewers and participants that weren't able to join us. And then if you have questions beyond right now, you can go to our Contact Us page on the taps.biz website. And the taps.biz website has a contact page. It will open up a help desk ticket. You can type your question here. If you choose Fine Arts down at the bottom, then that goes directly to my inbox, and I will get to those. You can also continue to email me at vina@taps.biz. Notice that I said biz, B-I-Z. Our emails changed for this school year. So if you've been emailing taps.net and not getting a reply, it's because that email address is no longer working out. So if you want to contact us, click that contact link. You can also click that knowledge base to see about Tapster instructions. I'll be adding more instructions there over the next week or so. There are a few more things that I'd like to let you know about. We are working on expanding our committees for string and vocal. If you would like to serve on our state music committee, please send me an email through the contact link and let me know that you're interested in serving on the committees.
Interject on that. When I was first in TAP, sometimes you sit there and you're saying, why do we do it this way? Who came up with that rule? And it can seem arbitrary, but there's a group of people behind the scenes that really are working hard to get this done. And it's been great the last 2 years with the state board has really turned over managing of the music events to the directors. They want the directors' input. They recognize that we are the experts in our fields. So now we need the directors to serve on the committees to help with this. We need people who specialize in voice to be on our vocal committees. We need the band band directors on the band committees. I desperately need more string people on a new string committee. They're listening to us. So join the committee so your voice can be heard. That's where the rules are coming from now. They're coming from directors on these committees. We'd love to have you join us with that.
And if you're not on a committee and you don't feel that that is where you are being led, you still can voice your opinions to those on the committee, and so that discussions can be made. Now, I will be at TMEA, so you can come and talk to me about different things there. And then we do hope to start the summer meetings again this next year. I know that the last few years we've intermittently had them, but we do hope to have director gatherings over the summer where we can all get together and just share our thoughts on how things are going. We do have one thing that I'd like to talk to you about briefly. TPSMEA, Texas Private School Music Educators Association, the director, Ron Matthews, approached me last year asking about a partnership with TAPS. So he's wanting a partnership with TAPS and TPSMEA, and his proposal was to give our TAPS schools that are also TPSMEA members more options for participation. The proposal from TPSMEA is for the TPSMEA schools, who are also TAPS member schools, to be able to participate at the TPSMEA solo event for TAPS points. And so that was his proposal, was that if those schools participated at TPSMEA solo and ensemble, that they would get the points that go towards the TAPS championship. So I'd like to open up the discussion for you to send me feedback on your thoughts about that. We have not, other than him giving that proposal to me and the directors of TAPS, we have not moved forward. Right now we are just wanting to gather your thoughts and your opinions on that. So directors, those of you who have experience with TPSMEA, we would definitely like to hear from you. But then also those of you who are not familiar with the organization, to give us your your feedback. You can email your thoughts or call and talk to me on the phone. I actually prefer the written documentation, so you email me through the contact link and choose Fine Arts, or you can just sit and talk with me at TMEA about it. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Even if you want to talk to her at TMEA, it would be helpful if you send it through the contact link that she showed you right here on this help desk. So again, we have a paper trail on your feedback for this. It would be a major adjustment, so we'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go back to the question and answer, and let's see if we have any more questions that have come up.
While she's bringing that up, I did mention the percussion for the concert and sight reading. I didn't necessarily mention it for solo and ensemble. That will be a site-by-site decision, but I know at UT Arlington, they said if you want to play on it, you need to bring it. So anticipate when you're doing your percussion ensembles to bring your own stuff for solo and small ensemble day. And that means if you need to use a ginormous bass drum in your ensemble, at least at this point in time until you hear otherwise, anticipate bringing your own bass drum to solo and small ensemble day.
We have a question. We have a question from Ryan about marching band, but I'm not quite sure of what you're asking. Can you rephrase?
I think I know what he's talking about, the merger on marching band. And I'll tell you with that one, that's not one that we're going to be able to address right here on the webinar. But at the summer meeting and with the committees, if you would like to be on one of the committees, that's where these things really get discussed and hashed out. I know that TPSMEA had 11 marching bands at their state event this year, and about half of them are TAP schools. So, again, your feedback. But these kind of things we won't be able to hash out here. We need to discuss them in our rules meetings when we get together this summer and when our committees meet and talk about them.
And Ron's proposal was just for the solo event, but like I said, we are open to hearing some feedback.
Do we have to take the scope test, and do we get credit for this meeting?
Okay, we do have a record if you have logged into this meeting. We will have a CPU credit certificate for you as if you attended an in-person meeting. So we will have that. We will give you those credits for that. Those of you that do have exemptions, we do want you to know that it is still your responsibility to know the content of those tests. So even if you are exempt, we do highly recommend that you click through those tests and at least read what you're responsible for knowing.
Will they all be exempt?
Yes, you will. If you have logged in, you will get credit for this meeting.
Except for
the professional acknowledgement of rules, which, by the way, is, I think, less than 15 questions.
It's exactly 15 questions.
And they're all true. Any other questions? Okay, so if you have more questions, just send them through the contact link or feel free to email me, Vena, V-E-N-A, @taps.biz, and we'll try to get those answered right away.
I guess we're done then. Thank y'all very much, and good luck.